If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? It is one of the oldest philosophical riddles in history. Common sense tells us that, of course, it makes a sound. The universe doesn't care if we are looking at it or not. The moon is still there when you close your eyes. Reality is objective, physical, and solid. But in the 1920s, a group of physicists conducted an experiment that shattered this assumption. They proved that at the fundamental level of the universe, reality is not solid at all. In fact, they proved that the very act of looking at something actually changes its physical behavior. This is the double slit experiment. It is the most famous, the most replicated, and the most deeply unsettling experiment in all of quantum mechanics. It suggests that the universe might just be a cloud of probability, waiting for you to look at it before it decides what to be. To understand the horror of the double slit experiment, we have to start with something simple: a tank of water. Imagine you have a wall with two vertical slits cut into it. You push a wave of water toward the wall. The wave hits the wall, passes through both slits, and splits into two smaller waves. As those two new waves ripple outward on the other side, they crash into each other. Where the peaks of the waves meet, they amplify. Where a peak meets a trough, they cancel each other out. If you put a screen at the back of the tank, you would see an interference pattern, a series of alternating strong and weak bands of water hitting the back wall. This is how waves behave. Now, imagine we drain the water. We take a tennis ball machine and we start firing solid tennis balls at the wall with the two slits. Most of the balls hit the wall and bounce back, but some pass through the left slit, and some pass through the right slit. If you look at the screen at the back, you will see exactly two bands of marks where the balls hit. This is how solid matter behaves. Matter creates two bands. Waves create an interference pattern. The rules are simple. But then, physicists decided to scale the experiment down. They wanted to see what would happen if they fired the fundamental building blocks of matter, electrons, through the two slits. Electrons are particles. They are tiny pieces of solid mass. Therefore, they should act like tennis balls and leave two bands on the back screen. The physicists fired the electrons one by one, so they couldn't possibly bounce off each other. They waited, and when they checked the screen at the back, their jaws dropped. The electrons had not formed two bands. They had formed an interference pattern, multiple alternating bands of impact. This made absolutely no physical sense. How could a single, solid piece of matter act like a wave? How could one electron pass through both slits at the exact same time, interfere with itself, and hit the back wall in a wave pattern? Physicists were baffled. To solve the mystery, they decided to place a microscopic measuring device, a detector, right next to the slits. They wanted to actually watch the electron as it passed through to see exactly what it was doing. Was it splitting in half? Was it teleporting? They turned on the detector, they fired the electron, and then the universe did something impossible. The moment the detector was turned on, the electrons stopped forming an interference pattern. They hit the back wall and formed exactly two bands, just like tennis balls. The physicists turned the detector off. The wave pattern came back. They turned the detector on. The two bands came back. The electrons knew they were being watched. When they were unobserved, the electrons behaved like waves. But the moment a conscious observer, or even a mechanical recording device, tried to measure their path, they instantly snapped back into being solid particles. This phenomenon is known as the observer effect. and it leads to the concept of wave function collapse. According to the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, before you measure an electron, it doesn't actually exist in a specific physical location. It exists in a superposition, a cloud of probabilities. It exists everywhere it could possibly be, all at once, moving through space as a wave of pure potential. But the universe apparently has a strict rule against us seeing this probability cloud. The instant we try to observe the electron, the wave function collapses. The universe rolls the dice, picks one specific location, and forces the electron to become a solid particle right then and there. Imagine a video game that only renders the trees and buildings when your character turns around to look at them. To save processing power, the rest of the world behind you is just a blur of code and probability. The double slit experiment implies that our universe operates the exact same way. Some physicists absolutely hate this interpretation. Albert Einstein famously argued against it, asking his colleagues, "Do you really believe the moon is not there when you are not looking at it?" Einstein believed there must be hidden variables, some secret clockwork in the universe that we just couldn't see yet. But over the last century, our technology has improved. We have repeated the double slit experiment thousands of times, with greater precision, using larger and larger molecules. The results have never changed. The math of quantum mechanics has been proven correct to a factor of 1 in a billion. The wave function collapse is real. The observer effect is real. This leaves us with a profound, almost spiritual question. If the fundamental building blocks of matter require an observer to take physical shape, then what is the relationship between consciousness and reality? Are we just passive inhabitants of a physical universe, or is the universe actively responding to our presence? If reality is just a blurry wave of probability until someone looks at it, it means the tree falling in the forest doesn't just lack a sound. It lacks a physical form. The universe is not a rigid clockwork machine. It is a dynamic, interactive web. And merely by opening your eyes, you are forcing the cosmos to decide what is real.